It's a lot of sitting.
It is a lot of sitting.
Yeah. We should do a...
I want to like a yoga ball.
Let's do a standing version this time.
I'm going to do a yoga ball next time.
Why don't we stand this on this pitch?
I'm Josh Muccio, and from Gimlet Media, this is The Pitch, where real entrepreneurs pitch to real investors.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Romy.
Romy?
Romy, yeah.
Romy, I'm Phil.
Romy.
Nice to meet you, Phil. Hi.
That's Phil Nadell from Forefront Venture Partners as he introduces himself to today's startup founder. Alongside Phil are three more investors, Jillian Manis from Structure Capital, Charles Hudson with Precursor Ventures, and Daniel Galati from Comcast Ventures. Our investors are all here today to hear from Romy Raad, who's primed and ready to pitch her startup, Metabrew.
Just dive in.
Yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
4 years ago, I started having these weird reactions to food. Natalie, who's my business partner today, was actually going through the same issues. So when we met in class at Parsons, we decided to do something about it.
The first thing they did was pretty common. Romy and Natalie started a blog where they wrote about healthy foods. They did that for a while as kind of a fun passion project. But eventually, they got their sights set on something much bigger. An idea that was inspired not by the similarities between the two of them, but by something that they had very different reactions to: coffee.
Funny story, I've never been able to drink coffee without feeling awful. Natalie, on the other hand, she had a low heart rate, so she needed to drink at least 6-7 cups of coffee a day. So we knew that if we can create a product that helped the both of us, we could serve a huge market. So we asked ourselves, how can we hack our morning beverage?
And hack away they did, first experimenting with coffee and then eventually tea. From their research, they found that there were other people just like them who loved the energized feeling they got from a cup of coffee, but who wanted healthier, gentler ingredients and way less natural caffeine.
So we worked for over a year on developing a coffee flavor that was really speaking to the people. We heard a lot of people's feedback. We took a lot of that into consideration.
Eventually, they landed on a recipe that they think could become the next big thing in the beverage market.
And today we're asking for $400,000 to release 2 new flavors, ramp up production for it, and hire some sales reps.
To get the cash she needs to break into the crowded beverage market, Romy has to convince investors, first, that there's a real demand for coffee alternatives, and second, that Metabrew is the right drink to meet that demand. So first things first, the taste test.
I think it's time for some mid-afternoon
We could all
boost.
use that.
Good timing for that, right?
You read our minds.
I brought the 2 flavors we have for each, so you guys can decide what you feel like. So I have a coffee and a tea for each one of you.
Oh.
This is for you. Just make sure to give it a nice shake, and then.
Okay.
And this is for you.
I'm bouncing off the ceiling.
Romy hands out the slender rectangular bottles. Phil only eats raw vegan foods, so he opts out of the taste test. But the other 3 investors give the bottles a quick shake and twist off the orange caps. It's hard to tell how the investors like Metabrew, though no one spits out the drink, so that's a good start. And in fact, Charles and Jillian both keep drinking past the first sip.
So can you tell us the composition of this? I'm seeing coffee, cashew butter.
Yep.
So it's the nut.
Okay.
Is why you say monk fruit. It contains cashew and coconut.
Yeah. So the concept of Metabrew, if you want, is based on moderate caffeine with some healthy fats and superfoods to give you a better, longer-lasting energy.
Romy lists off what's in Metabrew. There's cashew butter and MCT oil from coconuts for healthy fats, caffeine for a kick, a whole list of trendy superfoods, and of course, no chemicals or preservatives.
Yeah.
So you're getting, at the end of the day, your caffeine fix with some magnesium, with some superfoods, with some antioxidants. So really nice and nourishing. It tastes super light, and it's very also gentle on your body and on your mind.
Is this in terms of category of beverage?
Yeah.
Is it
coffee?
Yeah, is it like an energy drink? Is it a
It's not nutrition.
it's not a meal. It's not a
Yeah,
meal
coffee.
replacement. What?
It's actually a functional beverage. So the functional beverage is, if you want, defined as a drink that offers benefits beyond the basic nutrition. So you usually add to these drinks non-traditional ingredients. You see now beverages on the market that have herbs, adaptogens, protein powders, oils. These are all part of the functional beverage world.
So that actually begets the question. I'm a kombucha addict. I drink a lot of that, and that's it. That's and tea. So that's my that's my
Kombucha
frame of
is in the
reference.
functional space.
Right, it has to be because.
Yeah.
But then I also know from that there was 4 kombuchas. Now there's probably like 24 kombuchas or even more. And so it's such a crowded space. I'm trying to figure out what your clear sort of brand is that is going to be your differentiator without so much explanation.
So Rebel, Suniva, Bulletproof Coffee, the ready-to-drink one. I think compared to all of them, we're not just promising clean ingredients and a great effect, but we're also hitting the consumer's taste buds. So we are able to capture a slightly bigger market, and we're really the first plant-based, low-caffeine, truly healthy and clean energy drink on the market right now.
Pretty high fat, 10 grams of fat.
These are the healthy fats from the cashews and the coconut. And functional beverage as a market is huge. It's a global market. It's expecting to grow to 280 billion in the next 5 years. And even in the US alone, it's expected to grow from 23 to 37 billion. So
It's 23 billion now in the US?
And it's expected to grow to 37 in 2019.
What do you sell this for?
Oh, go ahead.
$4.99.
And what's your cost right now on it?
It's $1.84. I know our margin right now is very small. It's 11%. But
When you sell to the distributor, it's 11%?
with the distributor, the margin is 11%. Yeah.
But you're subscale, and I think that only improves over time.
When Daniel says subscale, he means Metabrew hasn't yet fully ramped up its production to where Romy hopes they'll be, where their beverage can be found in major grocery stores all over the country. If they can get to that point where they've hit scale, they'll be able to bring down production costs and sell at a greater profit. For right now, Metabrew can only be found in a handful of stores around New York City. But Romy has a plan to change all that.
So we know that to be able to scale a beverage company, you want to go up the ladder. You want to start with small distributors. You want to do your own distribution, then go to the bigger ones. And I feel like we've been just lucky to have big brands reach out to us. And that is going to, I think, help us grow and scale this year as we're planning to. So we have Whole Foods, we have Sprouts, we have H-E-B from Texas. They're all in conversation with us. And this is why we actually need $400K to be able to work with a distributor.
So Romy is taking a page right out of the tried and true book of how to get your product into grocery stores, slowly working up the ladder until eventually you land in the big chain stores. It's a distribution method as old as Coca-Cola.
It seems to me that you've got this quite innovative product, or quite a fresh product, but you're kind of playing the same distribution game that like 99% of the other beverage companies play, right? And I think like Soylent, they went direct to consumer and there was real distribution advantage there. I think having a differentiated point of view on how to get the product to the consumer, like, is the thing that matters here. Because I think you do have a pretty innovative product. I just worry that you kind of get lost in the noise and really don't penetrate the market in a way that you could if you had some sort of differentiated way to go to market.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the only thing that the challenges, if you want, that we're working with right now. So Soylent, you gave the example of Soylent. Soylent is a product that does not require refrigeration. With our product, we have a very fresh product. Our shelf life is 3 months. When it comes to refrigerated beverages, the distribution options are limiting, unfortunately.
Do you do anything to sort of help customers discover the product short of buying it? Like, are there ways for me, if I don't know Metabrew, to discover it in the wild? Like, how does the whole sort of customer education brand development
I'm sorry,
piece work?
Charles, did you say to discover it in the wild?
Yeah.
Are you going to like...
Outside of the context of being at a grocery store, out in the wild.
Oh,
like,
that wild.
Yeah,
right. Outside the grocery store wild.
Yeah, outside there are products I've discovered like in the wild where I'm out and someone says, "Hey, do you want to try this thing?" Or I'm at an event where someone says, "Hey, do you want to try this thing?"
Yes.
We actually do a lot of
brand ambassadors
in-person marketing activities, if you want, or outreach. So we've done over 180 demos in stores. Okay. So we're definitely very keen on educating the customer, talking to them, having them try it in front of us, and telling them like what are the benefits behind Metabrew. So we do 4 to 5 demos every week in the stores we're currently at.
I'm trying to see how you can differentiate yourself. I'm trying to figure out how you can enter this market with such a distinct voice and brand.
In other words, even if Metabrew gets on the shelves of these big chains, how are they going to attract customers? Romy and Natalie can't be in every grocery store aisle convincing people to try Metabrew. It's going to have to stand out on its own.
So buyers know that these products are like special products. These are not sodas, they're not Coca-Cola, they're not Pepsi. Once you see this brand, you familiarize yourself. You might not want to get it today, but you might want to get it next week and try it.
Yeah.
People want to see you everywhere. They see you at Whole Foods. You're like, okay, this is a good brand. Like we're comfortable trying it.
I just would have expected you would, at this point in the company's life, would be spending much more time on the over-the-top brand narrative to the consumer.
Yes.
To get people to understand the product and to go into Whole Foods looking for it.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like you've spent a lot of time and energy figuring out distribution, which I think is great, because you have to have the product available. But I wonder if it's coming at the expense of what's the over-the-top narrative to the consumer? I think I could walk through Whole Foods and see this and just keep walking, because I wouldn't know why to stop.
We actually work on building, if you want, a meta lifestyle around our brand. We have a blog, we have a newsletter, we have social media channels. We try to share, if you want, more facts. Our blog posts are about, either the ingredients we use, superfoods, like how you can hack your lifestyle to become, your own hero. This is what we talk about. If you want, we want to try to educate people that healthy is delicious. We want to try to empower them to make healthy choices on a holistic lifestyle change. And all of this we do on a regular basis.
Rather than focusing on their brand narrative, Romy is trying to think bigger than that by selling a lifestyle narrative, one that focuses on healthy living. The idea being, if they can convince people to live a more holistic lifestyle, that will naturally drive demand for Metabrew. The question is it working? Are consumers buying Metabrew? And more importantly, are they loving it?
What can you tell us about, I really want to dig into what are the proof points you have around the fact that consumers really like this beverage? So sell-through is one proof point, right? If you could come in here and say the 30 stores that we have, this is the highest % sell-through item on their shelf, that's a real proof point. I don't know, I guess another proof point is we've surveyed 1,000 consumers and they all love the taste profile and it's the best beverage I've ever had. What can you tell us that this is this hits the mark for the consumer?
I mean, the past year we've been able to create not just two successfully, highly unique products. We established manufacturing partnerships. We were able to outgrow our own production. So we used to do these by hand. Yeah. Now we're selling over 8,000 units up to date. So we know that people are grabbing this not just one by one, but we know that there are 2-3 customers that are hooked on it and they would buy 5-6 bottles.
But no, address Daniel's question more directly, okay?
Okay.
What can you point to? Is the sell-through rate higher than any of your competitors? Is the taste off the charts because you surveyed 1,000 people? What proof points are there that this is a truly better product that consumers are really love it?
I think definitely from conversations with customers. So over the 180 demos we've done, we've at least interviewed thousands of people. And from the data we've gathered from all these demos, people really like the taste all the time. They also value the fact that it has low caffeine. So every
What's
demo
the data?
we do,
Have you done surveys or is this anecdotal?
so every demo we do, we try to collect, how many bottles we sell, how many people like walk in that demo, how many samples we give, what is the feedback from every demo.
Romy has made her case for why she believes Metabrew stands out from its competitors. But has she convinced investors? Here's Jillian.
This tastes fantastic as far as
Thank
I'm concerned. It's fabulous. So I think you have like the fabulous taste. You have all the nutrients in it. I think I love the less caffeine, the better energy, the not as difficult on your stomach, and all the bells and whistles. I cannot give you money because I am not the right person, and I'm seeing a lot of major challenges. And when I see a lot of problems and I don't have any of the solutions is when I'm not a good investor. All I know is that this tastes really good.
Thank you.
And I would love to see it on the shelves, and I would buy it in fistfuls, but I would walk right past it if I hadn't met you, because it is not jumping out. So I'm not quite sure where that goes. I think that there is a chance to grow, like you're saying, in this very authentic way. I just worry about how long that's going to take and how much capital that's going to take. But,
fair enough.
Okay.
I'm super grateful for this.
Jillian's out. This is Daniel.
I think that, I think you can build billion-dollar businesses as category definers in kind of the beverage category. So I think there are enough examples out there that we've all discussed that, you could be a billion-dollar company in 5 to 10 years, right? And I think at a high level that opportunity exists, and I hope you get there. I think for me, I didn't hear anything coming out of the pitch that said, hey, there is voracious demand here from consumers, a small group of consumers. I walked away feeling like, yeah, consumers like it, but they don't. It's not obvious to me that they absolutely love it, and maybe that's because I'm not hearing it right or whatever. That's where I'm at. I think the art of this bet is like, do you believe in the brand? And I just didn't quite get there on that.
Daniel's passing. Here's Phil.
I'm out. I'm a pass on this one.
Okay.
It either needs like some kind of unique brand identity that if you're using traditional distribution like retail, and I'm walking to Charles's point, I'm walking down the aisle, right? It's going to grab me. I'm going to be like, wow, I got to try that. Something about the form factor or the identity, the packaging, whatever. Or you're going through a unique kind of distribution channel, so you don't maybe need such a unique form factor or brand identity, but you're in a different channel that is unique and you're going at it that way. Because without either of those two things, to me, it's just a slog fest, right? You're slogging it out with every other brand and looking for shelf space and fighting with wholesalers on margin and all of that. And it just becomes a grind. Mm-hmm. And that's not the kind of business I'm interested in investing in personally. If I saw some differentiation in one of those areas I mentioned, to me, it becomes much more exciting. So for me, based on where you are now, I think it's a cool brand. I just don't think it's differentiated enough. I don't see anything unique enough about the distribution, so I'm out.
With 3 investors out, Charles is up.
It's not quite right for me because I don't really do consumer direct products. I also would say now that I had this and I've had it for a couple minutes, there's a product actually I didn't appreciate. It's filling.
Yes.
It's like
It's
satisfying in a way that's satisfying in a way that a cup of coffee isn't.
Yeah.
Right.
It coats your stomach. It's satisfying and filling, and
It's a treat.
the reason I've been pushing you so hard in the brand is I think this is the kind of product that if people experience it,
Yes.
they'll seek it out. They'll say this is different than anything else in my beverage lineup, but you've got to sort of get the hook in the mouth that gets them to try it in the first
We
place.
have the sales force to just like keep giving samples.
Hopefully,
and
whoever's listening to the pitch will go try to find Metabrew.
Yeah.
Right, because it's fantastic.
Thank you so much. This
want
was
you to
amazing.
succeed.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing
Of course.
Yes. And
Thank you.
Romy leaves the room, but not without first leaving a little something behind, something that appears to have made a lasting impression.
Do you know she was only the second founder that handed us a card? I like that. And I also like the fact that I always, and I think we've talked about this before, is that a no doesn't mean a never.
That's right.
Right? And I like the fact that she leaned into that. And it wasn't us saying, well, let's follow up with you.
Yeah.
Right? And I find that is I like her tenacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I love this.
I enjoyed the beverage.
I did enjoy the beverage. So this is
Fragmented category, tough
Yeah.
distribution.
Tough. Very
there's a lot. There's a lot of reasons why it won't work, but
It's not.
Yeah,
She even said that it takes a long time to build a brand like this,
Yes.
and a long time equals a lot of money.
yes.
And I'm not up for that kind
That's
of.
what I said. It's very capital intense. And she did, I don't know. I would like to have someone on the team who has gone through this, built a beverage, or has, but perhaps she'll find an advisor.
She needs that.
Romy's search for investors or advisors, anybody with a checkbook and a love for MCT oil and cashew butter, continues after the break. Welcome back. It's been 2 months since Romy's pitch to investors, so I called her up, hoping to hear good news and maybe even about some new money in the bank. You were raising $400,000 when you came on the show. Have you been able to close that round since
No.
the pitch?
So what happened is we kind of changed a little bit our strategy, and we got accepted into this accelerator program called Food Future Co.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's an accelerator. It's like the biggest accelerator program for food ventures, kind of focusing on their growth. Right now, it's going to be like a 6-month program where we kind of get connected to some mentors, investors, advisors, and try to like really plan a good growth strategy for Metabrew.
Got it. Okay, so the plan is to focus, do some networking. Is there some sort of funding involved in this incubator to kind of float you for the next 6 months before you raise again?
No, so they don't actually give us funding. And so right now we actually partnered up with 2 local distributors. They're not the biggest, but they're a really good start. We were able to increase the list of our stores. So now we're in about 70 stores. We were able
70?
to triple. Yeah, we're
Wow.
able to triple that number in a month and a half, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So one of the things the investors really focused on in your pitch was your brand identity and whether you were able to convert people into basically die-hard Metabrew fans. So their question to you was, give us some early data that there's some small subset of people that are just voracious fans of Metabrew and they're ordering it all the time. And it seemed like you were able to kind of give some of that anecdotal evidence of like, here's a story here, people really like it, but there wasn't that real like specific, we did a survey and here's what we found. Or people that try our drink, 10% of them turn into rabid, fans of our product. Like
I think I was definitely, I felt a little bit hesitant because I wasn't sure what he wanted to hear. And I felt like anything that I was saying. I remember it was Daniel who kept repeating, like, but what is it exactly? Like, give me a number, give me. And I think what the lesson I learned is I felt very insecure about the numbers we had. Like, it wasn't big numbers. And maybe if I just told him, like, we have, I don't know, 10 people who are addicted to it, who text me on a weekly basis that they want a 12-pack of Metabrew, I think that should have been just enough.
Sure.
But I think I was maybe intimidated by the numbers we had because we're still quite small. And I didn't have that data, that it felt like, oh, maybe the stories are going to sound better. So it's again like learning how to actually answer an investor. Like when he asks you for something, you give the answer and then you explain, versus you explain and then you lose the answer.
It was interesting because fairly early on, you had to explain the competitive landscape and where you fit in as a functional beverage, which was new information for me. But then you started naming off your competitors, and there's some pretty big names in there. Like, what is it like for you as a founder of a small upstart to be pitted against these massive competitors?
Honestly, I was never intimidated by the big players. Bigger does not mean better, but I think we have a very loyal customer base that really value how we do things. The fact that we're small, based in Brooklyn, the fact that we have great customer service, even if we're still a tiny team. I think that's how big brands, learn to grow. So I'm sure that in the next few years, we are able to get really big. But for now, the big players for us are not eating us alive. They're more like, opening the shelf for us.
Wow. You don't seem fazed at all by it. But I mean, it's a really crowded space, super hard to to make a dent in. And there isn't even some part of you that's like, how in the world, you wake up and you're like, how in the world are we going to make a company out of this?
I don't know. I think the whole giving up was never an option. There's no option of okay, this is not going to work. And what are we doing? We have always days where we wake up and we're like, okay, this whole thing is not working the way we're doing it right now. We have to change something. But I also feel like we're very humble in the way we do things. And the fact that this company is just 2 years old, the company is 2 years old. We've been in the market just for the past year. This is how a 1-year-old company in the market is performing, and we're trying our best to make it grow as fast as we can. But at the same time, I cannot compare myself to a company that's been doing it for the past 6 years. That's just gonna kill our motivation, and it's just gonna be super stressful for no reason.
Romy said that she's still in talks with a pretty big name distributor, a brand you probably know well, but unfortunately, she can't talk about it just yet. But by March, Romy said she'll have her answer. She also mentioned that after her pitch, she went back to her customers and started asking, why do you drink Metabrew? It's an organic approach to figuring out what it is that will make customers and investors buy into Metabrew. So we wish her the best, and who knows, maybe in the next 5 years, Metabrew will be a household name. We want to hear what you think. What makes you stop and notice a product in the grocery store? How should a new brand like Metabrew stand out among the competition? Join the conversation over at thepitch.show/discuss. We'll be back with a brand new episode next week. And one last thing, if you're a startup founder or you know someone who is, they can apply at thepitch.show/apply. Our next recording event is in February in San Francisco. We're looking for companies in the seed stage with early traction. We aren't looking for companies in any specific vertical. Our focus is on finding startup founders who have a story to tell. Our show is produced by me, Josh Muccio, Molly Donahue, and Kareem Maddox. We are edited by Devin Taylor. Our theme music is by Breakmaster Cylinder, with original music composed by The Musemaker and Bobby Lord. We were mixed by Enoch Kim, with help from Matt Bowl. Lisa Muccio plans our recording events, and thanks to Matt Lieber for introducing us to Metabrew. As a reminder, no offer to invest is being made to or solicited from the listening audience on today's show. And one more thing before we go. Our friends at the Heavyweight Podcast are looking for stories for their third season. On the show, host Jonathan Goldstein tells the story of a moment in people's lives when something went wrong, and then goes on a quest to help them make things right. So if you have a moment from your own past you wish you could change, an interaction you can't stop obsessing over, a confrontation you've been avoiding, a question you don't know how to ask, send an email to heavyweight@gimletmedia.com. All right, you've been listening to The Pitch from Gimlet Media. See you next week.
It's popular in the wild.
That's right.
Okay, that's why I messed it
We got to get you in the wild more often.
Tell my wild side.
You've been stuck in grocery stores too long. You got to get out.
That's right.